Hi, I'm Jeff Hajek. This is the Five Whys Crash Course. It is part of our new program at Continuous Improvement Central, where we provide you with the tools you need to teach your team in a very quick manner, give them a few handouts, and get them using a tool or a concept almost immediately. So check out the description down below, and you can go see all the accompanying information that's available. Also, if you enjoy this video, if it helps you at all, please hit that like and subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't ever miss a future episode. Okay, let's get started. Okay, today we'll be talking about the five whys and how to use that tool. And you cannot start a discussion about the five whys without really understanding what a root cause is. So we want to talk a little bit about root causes versus symptoms. So let's say you're at home and every time you reach into a certain cabinet you scratch the back of your hand. And every time you do that, you put on a Band-Aid and you just go about your business, go about your life, and you keep having that injury over and over and over again. You're treating a symptom. Now, most people wouldn't do that. Once you scratch yourself a few times, you'll say, "Hey, something's going on." You look for it. You break out that microscope and you start trying to find the root cause. Why am I getting hurt every time I reach in this cabinet? You find out if a screw's sticking out or whatever's going on, that's causing that injury. But you want to eliminate that root cause so the problem goes away forever. Now, on the shop floor, we often see these kind of things happen, but we don't often or we don't always dive into why it repeatedly happens. So let's say you go up to a machine and there's coolant leaking on the floor. You inspect it and realize that there's a seal that's leaking. So you could go ahead and just call maintenance, change that seal and go about your business, but then it might, you know, happen again if you just replace the seal. There's no understanding of why that seal was damaged. It might have just worn out, but it might have been something that happened to the seal. So if you kind of dive into it, maybe what you're finding is that there's metal shavings that are getting into the coolant system and that's damaging the seal. Why does that happen? There's a screen that covers the intake for the coolant and that has the screen's broken. Why is it broken? Well, it's where it's been getting hit by these parts of it. Every time they come out of the machine, they fall, they hit that screen and it cracks holes in the screen. And you can kind of imagine that's what's causing the problem. Now, this, for all practical purposes, is the root cause because now you can make a change that will eliminate the problem forever. Up to this point, anything that you might do, if you replace the screen will get broken again. At this point, you can now say, how do I prevent the parts from falling onto it? So maybe you put a little diverter in so the parts fall out of the way, or you put like a little cage over your screen to keep the parts from hitting it so you can do something about it. Now, you could go deeper into it. You can go back to the manufacturer and call it a design flaw, and they could change things up. So it's not an exact science, but you do understand at this point that you can make a change here and the problem goes away for good within the walls of your factory. Now, kind of along those lines, it's not a five whys isn't exact. Five whys is a target to keep going through that keeps pushing you to get to the root cause. If it's fewer than five, that's not a problem as long as you come up with the idea that the last thing you come up with, you get rid of that, everything goes away for good. And that's the key. Now, if it's more than five, you might have to question whether or not this is the right tool for the job, because if you're getting that many layers deep, the five whys has some limitations that maybe isn't the best tool for a really complicated problem. So this is a five whys form. This is a tool that you can use to really help speed things along as you're learning this tool. Always fill out the header data. It makes it really easy to go back for other people to figure out what happened. The problem that you're talking about goes here. All the whys as you go through, you put those in place here. The confirmation steps, this is a way of just checking to make sure that your assessment was correct. You just have to decide whether or not you want to go and investigate further. And that's what the yes and no boxes are for. And it aids a lot if you're trying to discuss this with other people later. So if you're doing this as part of a project, or if you're just learning and you're doing mentoring, if somebody who's mentoring you, they can do a good job at understanding how you were thinking. And then when you get down to the bottom, that's the root cause, of course. So the five whys form is what you're really trying to learn in this lesson, is how do you put this thing to use. Now, do you really need to use it? Well, later on, it's a pretty simple tool when you talk about five whys. It's a conceptual tool. You can just do it in your head most times. Keep going through to the bottom. This is specifically if you're experienced or if you're kind of doing it alone. If for now, before you really get good at it, I do encourage you to write it down because it lets somebody mentor you and kind of understand how you're thinking and helps you to make sure that you're following a good train of thought. And later, if you're doing projects, it's a good communication tool So you don't have to explain how you got where you got, and you don't have to convince people if they can see your confirmation steps. And then the final part here is just some of the pros and cons. Now, this is a really useful tool because it is very easy to teach, it's very easy to learn, and because of that, it's really used commonly. So people will put this to use almost immediately after learning it. So like today you learn it, you could start using this almost, it's not a hard concept to figure out how to grasp. So you'll be using this almost immediately. And it's a great tool to get started on problem solving. So if you're just getting used to this whole concept of structured problem solving, this is a great way to get going on it. The drawbacks are that it is not scientific. It is not repeatable at all, which means that you could do the same step. You could do the 5 whys twice and get different results yourself. Or if two different people did it, they might get different results. And a big part of that is because it relies heavily on your process knowledge. So the more you understand the process and the system, the more likely you are to go down a certain path. So, or to get the correct answer. But if you're just stepping in and trying to observe, you may not know the nuances. So this does require some familiarity to do it effectively. And it also falls short if there's complicated problems where you might have multiple layers or hidden things where you need to get a lot of data. And again, it's not scientifically driven, or if you have multiple causes on the same problem. So those things are kind of the Achilles heel for the 5 whys form of this kind of root cause analysis. That's all I got. Have a good day.